Hey guys, what's up? It is Danlags, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I am going to be starting a brand new Let's Build. That's right, I am going to be building the 2016 HGTV Dream Home. So as you guys can see behind me, that is last year's Dream Home, the 2015 version. And I had a really fun time doing the Let's Build on that house and doing the final tour of it and everything like that. So I thought it would be kind of cool to start a tradition where every year in February, I do a Let's Build for the Dream Home. So I'm going to be doing this year's Dream Home, which is 2016. I'm going to put some links in the description to the HGTV website where you guys can take a full tour of the house and look at everything, so you kind of have a general idea of what it looks like as I'm kind of building it. This year's house is kind of it's like a Mediterranean style house kind of in Florida. It's a lake house or a beach house or whatever, and I think it's a lake house, and it looks really, really good. It's a nice looking house. I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging to build than last year's house, just for some of the angles and things like that, but I think it'll be a good challenge. I'm going to be building it right across the street from the 2016 Dream Home, since I think that's a perfect spot for it. No better spot than just right across the way from last year's house. So I have this big space filled open right here that I just kind of cleared out some trees and some little pieces of pond and things like that. So we have a big space here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the build today. One thing to note: this is some sort of beach house or lake house. I'm actually not 100% sure whether it's on a lake or a beach. I have to double check that, but there's no lake or beach anything back here. So what I'm probably gonna have to do is kind of create my own little artificial lake back here after we're done with the build. I mean, I could build it, in a different space, but I really wanted to build it on the other side of the street. I think that would be kind of cool to have them both right next to each other. So we will kind of create something to fit the builds, in a later point, but we're gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's actually get started with today's building. So we're gonna start just by working on the front of the house today, and just kind of talking about how this place is gonna go. This house is smaller than last year's house, so it shouldn't take me as long to build, but let's stop dilly-dallying and let's jump right into it. So I have a block here that I placed to get started with, so I'm just gonna grab a few blocks that I'm gonna use for this build. And this is a very white house. It's white on the outside. It's kind of got like a brownish roof, so we're gonna have to decide what block we're gonna use for that. Maybe acacia. We'll figure it out when we get there. But basically, I'm gonna be using some light gray wool as the theme, and we're gonna kind of put this across here. And you might be wondering, why am I building this first wall like all the way back here, really far away from the road? Well, just because I want to have a big driveway. As you can see on last year's house, there's a really big driveway, and this house actually has an even longer driveway, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. So that's why I'm building it so far off the road. I want to give all this space out in the front for a driveway. So let's just get started with it. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to kind of take up this front wall, and the first wall I'm going to be doing is the one to the far left. So if you guys have like the other tab open where you can see the world, or you can see the house, that would be really nice, like kind of like following along here. Because I'm going to be building the far left front wall to start off. It kind of has like a balcony on the second floor. It's a really nice looking part of the house. So I'm going to start off with that, and we'll go from there. So again, as you guys know, and I've mentioned this several times in the past when I try to recreate things, is the hardest part is trying to get everything proportionate. That's the toughest thing. So that is the part that I will be having the most issues with on this build. We're going to see how well I can kind of execute this place despite having all of the proportion issues that come from real life to Minecraft. So we're going to start off with those three windows, right? I'm going to grab some slabs and some stairs. I'm going to go ahead and place some upside down slabs right there. I'm also going to place some upside down stairs right here. Not necessarily a part of the build, but these are the kind of things I like to add in Minecraft to spice it up a little bit. And that's something that I'll be doing throughout the whole build, just adding small details like that, because it makes it look a little bit cooler from Minecraft, and that's always something that I'm trying to strive for. So I'm going to take these all the way up and like that as well. I will not deviate from the main plan of the house, but I will add some small things that will make it look better in Minecraft. So if I need to change out the floor plan slightly, or change the landscape slightly, I will do that to make it look better for Minecraft. So, and you guys saw me do that on last year's Let's Build for the 2015 Dream Home as well. So the raffle or the drawing, I think, for this place is I think it's the 18th of February, so we have about 2 weeks until then. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this Let's Build in 2 weeks, but I think it would be pretty cool if we got it done before the drawing, although it doesn't really matter, but I think it would still be kind of cool. So we're going to get started off with something like that right there. And I could have like a double door up there, but I don't think it would work considering that it's a an odd number. So I want to kind of keep that theme. And odd numbers are good in Minecraft anyway, so that's fine if we kind of change that slightly. There's like these shutters that are up here. I think the best way for me to do those is just do something like that. There's probably other ways that I could do that, but I'm gonna just stick with that for now. I could use like iron trapdoors, but those look bad, so I'm not gonna really like soil the build with something like that. It just won't look very good. So that's kind of like our start, and that's gonna be our first balcony. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually going to extend this up a couple of blocks because I want to give myself enough space for the interior design. So as you can see, the floor for the bottom here, I'm just going to use some dark oak wood as an example. The floor from the bottom here would be something like this. The reason why I'm putting it 2 blocks below these windows is because these are going to be bathrooms. These windows are bathrooms in here. One of them's a closet, and then 2 of them are bathroom. And it's fine for me to have the bathroom windows 2 blocks above the ground because those windows, that's totally good. That's totally okay to have the bathroom windows a little bit higher than normal. That's completely normal, and that will be fine. So that's going to be our second floor right there. So that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 block tall ceiling. And then we're going to have to do another 5 block tall ceiling in here because I want to have, everything lined up. These are the things that I have to, keep in mind when I'm doing the early parts of the build, because you don't want to mess up the exterior, and it might make it look a little bit taller or a little bit larger than it would in real life because of the proportions, but you guys already know that stuff. That's, you guys all play Minecraft. You guys know what I'm talking about. Alright, so we're going to get started with something like that. And let's see, that would make this, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks tall. So ideally, I would like the ceiling to be right here. Although I wouldn't, it would not be the end of the world if it was 4 blocks tall for me, honestly. So, I could take like another lining across right here, and then kind of have the roof filling around that. But that's something just kind of like a preliminary plan, because that stuff will all, figure itself out as we go. But let's continue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm probably going to take some stairs out right here. And on this build, we kind of have, I don't know really how to explain this, but it's this, they kind of just hold up the balcony, these stairs. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do with this. So I'm just going to be kind of taking these across all the way around. So we got right there, and then we're going to take these up again like this. And these are just going to be like support for the balcony, okay? So I'm going to take these up one more time, and then again right here. And now what I can start to do is fill in this balcony. So the balcony is going to be here, so I'm probably going to just kind of fill this in with some dark oak wood to start off. Just kind of wrap that around. And then on the edge here, I think I'm going to just do a lining of quartz going around like this. And this is going to be our balcony here for, that's going to be the master bedroom up there, I believe. So that'll be pretty cool. So we'll add that. And then that looks pretty good. I kind of want to keep that how it is. I might slightly reduce the size of those kind of like things there. The thing about the real life house is they're not as wide because they're kind of like beams. They're not necessarily stairs like they are in Minecraft. So that's something I have to fiddle around with, but I think I'm going to leave it like that for now. And let's see. Let's go ahead and start to add something up here. So I wish I had like quartz fences. That would be perfect for this, but we don't have access to something like that. So we're going to have to just kind of use pillars of, a white block, and then I'm going to use some upside down quartz stairs as the railing, and that's kind of like what I'm going to go for with this. So we're going to do something like that. And I think I'm going to have a railing go right here and here. So we'll have 4 railings total. And we'll have one in the middle. So the middle one will just be like a slab. And that'll be kind of our railings. And this is going to be the master bedroom, okay? So this is going to be the master bedroom balcony. I'm going to take a lining of upside down quartz stairs across here. And guys, as you guys know about my Let's Builds, if you watched plenty of them in the past, everything's always up for change. If I decide that something needs to be changed after the first episode that didn't turn out too good, I'll always, fix it up. So right now it's looking pretty good. It doesn't look like 100% accurate because of the width of those pillars. So that might be something I have to experiment with in terms of maybe compromising and using fences and using a different color fence that maybe oak fences. That might work. But as for right now, this is looking pretty good. So again, that's kind of all I wanted to do for this space right now, because we're going to do kind of the roofing and stuff like that later. But this is a good start for sure. I think it's definitely could use a little bit of an improvement, but it's a good start. It's a good benchmark here. So let's keep on going. Next thing I'm gonna do is kind of just get something started here with the roof. Just something small though. And I think I'm gonna do like quartz slabs, acacia, and I think that's good. So what I'm gonna do, actually hold on, I have to put these railings here, so let me put those down. There we go. Alright, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to have like a roofing that's gonna go across like right here. And this is gonna be the start of the roof, like that. And then down here I'm gonna have some slabs going across. And this is going to be kind of like the very start of this roof, okay? And then below this, what I think I might do is I might actually, because I want to kind of add like a pillar here, so let me grab a quick block of light gray wool. I'm going to do like 3 blocks and then bring this up, break that, and then I'll jump 3 more. So we're going to go to here, and that's going to be like the next part of the house. So those 2 openings in that pillar, that's going to be the front entrance. Okay. So now what? Let's go ahead and take this across, and this is going to run down, and this is going to be kind of like the front wall, kind of in the middle, and there's going to be a couple of windows on this wall. So we'll kind of, figure that out in a second. What I might do is I might do something like this to kind of, just to mix this up a little bit and just to add a little bit to it. Do something like that on that front. That's good. Okay. So I can break this because this is going to turn into... Actually, I never even needed those slabs now that I think about it. But I'm going to turn this into some light gray wool. And this is going to run all the way down. This whole wall is going to get filled in. So just get started with this. And there's going to be some windows on this wall that we're going to punch open. But we're just going to kind of get it filled in first. So just kind of bring it around town and all that stuff. And like I said, guys, this is going to be a little bit more of a challenging build than last year's build for sure. Last year's build I thought was actually relatively easy to replicate to Minecraft. I think that's probably why I did it. That's why when I first saw it, I was like, I could really easily build that to Minecraft. This one's going to be a lot more tricky because of just some of the angles and just some of the way it's built. It's going to be a little bit harder, but I think we're going to be able to come up with something cool here. We just got to kind of work at it and do a lot of tweaks and changes. So there we go. We have just this this front part just kind of sticking out. I might actually end up taking this out an extra block here, having this be 2 blocks out instead of just 1. That'll probably end up being something I'll do. And for this balcony, what I might also do is reduce the size of it. So it's kind of sticking off the side here. I think a valuable change I could make, and this, let's see how this looks. So I could do something like this. Just make it a little bit smaller so it's not as huge, because it really isn't this big. It doesn't go all the way to pretty much to the edge of the wall, so we can trim this just by 1 block here and see if that makes a a solid change. And I think we're definitely going to have to make a decision about these pillars because they are entirely too wide. They really are not proportional, so we're going to have to make a decision about those, whether we keep those or not. I'm going to leave them for now, like I said, but let's go ahead and just take that across there. And that just makes that a little bit smaller. I guess that really kind of accentuates the width of those pillars even more because there's less space to peer through. But that is what we're going to do for that. Just kind of make that a little bit smaller. And what I might do is actually run some slabs here now and kind of take that across. I'm not really sure if that's going to be a design I'll keep, but could do something like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and focus on these windows for a second. So the way this house works is there's kind of like 3 windows off to the side here, and I'm probably going to put these 2 blocks over, so there's going to be 3 of them, right? Like 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take these 3 blocks tall. They're going to be on the same lining as those windows, but they're going to be 3 instead of 2. So let's go ahead and grab some black stained glass, and we're going to fill these in. Of course, everything on the interior is going to be double stacked, so these windows kind of sticking into the inside and looking all ugly right now, those are going to get patched up later, and the interior will get filled in. The interior wallpaper for the main part of this house, a lot of it is like kind of like a light violet color, so we're gonna have to decide what block we're gonna use for that. That's gonna be kind of a tough decision. I'm thinking maybe just one of the wools. Maybe we'll use like light blue wool, slightly change the color. We could also use the packed ice. That could be a potentially really cool idea. So we'll experiment with that stuff when we get there. But how this works is there's going to be actually another set of windows up here that are just going to be 1 block as opposed to 3. And these windows kind of have these kind of cool looking shutters. They're like these Florida style shutters. And I'm not really sure how I would do that in Minecraft. That's going to be a tricky one. I might actually just have to, like, you know, completely ignore them. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that just yet. That's going to be something that's going to have to come to me later. But at least we're going to get started here with some of this, just to kind of add some detail. And what we could do is even just, you know, do something like that for those windows, just so they kind of look like maybe half shutters. So there we go. We have those windows put in, and that looks pretty good. So now really, like, my next objective here is to kind of count off a few blocks. I think I'm going to go like 3 blocks this way, and then I'm going to start to turn this. And this is where the garage is going to start to come into place. So as we kind of turn to the right here, and I'm going to, like, kind of take this down. I'm not really sure. Probably like maybe to like right there. And that is going to be like the side wall for the garage here. So we're going to add that next. So really how this is going to work is just going to get filled in. And this roof stays on the same lining, by the way. So it's not going to be lowered. Or at least I don't think it's going to be lowered. I'm going to have to double check. But we're going to just take this wall up a little bit. Like I said at the beginning, this house is much smaller than last year's house. It really shouldn't take me a whole lot of time to build this thing. Maybe we can build it by the time the raffle goes out. Just depends on how many episodes I record. But it's really not that big of a house. It's much smaller than last year's build for sure. But basically this roof here, we're going to have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that. I think it's slightly lower on the garage level, so we'll kind of keep that in mind. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to backtrack here for a second. I'm actually going to go ahead and do this part. I'm going to fill this in. So this is going to be the front entrance to the house. Okay, so I'm going to kind of take this out. Not really sure how far yet. Maybe like to there might look good. And also that might leave some openings to where I might want to actually move those windows over 1 block. So they're actually 3 blocks away from the edge instead of 2. That'll just that'll come into play when I'm double stacking stuff. So I'm probably going to do that in a second as well. Alright, so I'm going to kind of take this across here. And I already did that for these windows over here. That was actually smart, because I can double stack a wall around this corner, and that'll still leave plenty of space there. So that's good. Alright, so let's see. This is going to come across right here. And do I want to do 3 here or just 2? I think I'm going to go 3. So I'm going to kind of move this in 1 extra block here. So this is going to be the new back wall here for the entrance to the build. So, alright, let's kind of take this across. And this is going to get filled up and all the way up. So, again, taking it all the way up. Nothing too fancy about it. Kind of going across. As far as, you know, like, whether like this build is cooler than last year's build, this is just my personal opinion, and this is just me, you know, just liking more architecture styles more than others, I guess. I actually prefer last year's house. I really like that Cape Cod style of, you know, beach house. That's like literally one of my favorite styles of build. But these Mediterranean style houses are really nice as well. So I have very much excited to kind of see how this comes together, because it's gonna be tough, but I think it's gonna be really good. Alright, so now what I have to do is make a decision as to what block I want to use for my front patio. So, I'm thinking about going with gravel, because it's kind of like a cobblestone theme, and I think there's a little bit of, yeah, there's like a small hole here. So, it's a little bit of a cobblestone theme, but it kind of like has the color of gravel, so I think that's what I'm going to go for here. That's kind of like the start. Alright, so this is going to kind of get filled across. And there's kind of like a very, very small step up here that I think I'm just going to completely ignore, because there's really no way for me. It would be like a half slab, like half the size. It would be like, what's the best way for me to explain this? It would be like 2 blocks of snow, like slightly taller than a carpet, slightly shorter than a slab. So it'd be like that. And there's really, like, I don't have a block for that other than snow. So I'm just going to kind of completely ignore that and just kind of go with what I have here. So I really wish this wasn't taken down like that. I don't know what's under there. It's like a hole that I covered up or something. But this is going to kind of go across here. And the front patio is really nice. I actually like it. It's kind of like a homey looking garden. It has like a little table out here in the front and some nice shrubbery. That's going to be something I'm looking forward to building. But that's just kind of a start for it there. So let's kind of take that up. And then right here is going to be a double door. We're going to have 2 doors here. I'm going to do them actually out of dark oak wood. I really like the dark oak wood door, so I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to kind of fill those blocks in for now. And I'm also going to grab some, I think I'm going to go with some black stained glass and some dark oak wood planks. We'll do some planks here, and then we got some black stained glass, and then let's do some light gray wool. So the reason why I'm putting those planks there is just to make this the height of the door a little bit higher, because obviously the doors are probably, maybe they might actually be the least proportionate thing in like all of Minecraft. So it's always tricky trying to, you know, compensate for the doors. But we're gonna do something like that, right? And that's looking pretty good. So then for the rest of this space here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of create this, I'm not really sure how to explain this, but I'm gonna kind of create this tree here. And it's gonna be, you know, some sort of tropical looking tree. So that's kind of what I'm gonna go for next. I think I might actually use some jungle fences for this. That might sound crazy, but I think I am. So here's how this is gonna work. I'm gonna put a cauldron down, and that's gonna kind of work as the flower pot for this, or kind of like just a pot for this tree. I'm gonna kind of take up a couple of blocks of jungle fences here, and then I'm just gonna start to take some acacia leaves off of this and just kind of create this little tropical looking small tree here that's like a planted tree and like a potted tree, I guess. And it'll kind of go up throughout here and just kind of get filled in. It's just like this little tree there for the front steps. So yeah, something like that. That's like pretty much exactly what I was going for. So let me just add maybe like a couple more hedges right there, a couple more leaves, and that's kind of like what I'm going for that front step. So that looks great. All right, so we have that put in. So that's kind of like the front. That's actually kind of how it's looking pretty much. So really what I have to do now is just move these windows over one block, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do from there. But I think we're off to a good start on this build. Again, the first episode is never going to make it look like a masterpiece. I think you guys know that. Go back and watch the first episode of my Victorian Mansion Let's Build, and you'll know. You'll watch that first episode and think like, oh my gosh, what is this? But it turned out to be like one of my favorite builds. So it's always, that's like the hardest part, really, is trying to make sure that you're getting progress done on the first episode, but you're getting progress done that's actually going to end up staying. So I think we have accomplished both of those things today, where this build is looking pretty good. You know, it's not perfect by any means, but, you know, we're making progress, and it's coming together, at least on the front. So we're off to a good start on this build. I think this is going to be a really awesome tradition, kind of doing the HGTV Dream Home every year. It was really fun last year, and I think it's going to be just as fun this year. I didn't even really intend for it to become anything last year. I kind of just, like last year, I think I called the Let's Build a Beach House, but I was modeling it after the Dream Home. This year, like, I'm straight up, you know, modeling it after the Dream Home, I guess, in terms of like that's what the title of the series is going to be called. Everything's going to be modeled after HGTV Dream Home. So let's go ahead and place these upside down stairs here, and then we'll take a step back here and see what we need to do next. So a good start for sure. Again, you guys got to make sure that you take a look at the pictures of the house to kind of, you know, refresh your mind, so you kind of see what I'm building each episode. But this is off to a good start for episode 1. Next episode, we will, you know, continue to work on the shell of the house, and we also have to keep in mind of like what we need to do for the interior. I'll work on the garage next episode. I'll try to refine that balcony for the master bedroom, work on some of the roofing, and that's what we will get started with on the next episode of this build. So thank you guys very much for watching. It's been Dangeles. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys for episode 2 of the 2016 HGTV Dream Home Let's Build in a few days. Have a good day, guys, and peace out.